In elementary school, I hated to read. It was hard for me and I didn't enjoy it. I was put in the low reading group. I always lost my library books, so my mom told my teacher I wasn't allowed to check them out anymore. I wouldn't have read them anyway. When I was in middle school and high school, I couldn't even tell you where the library was or what color was painted on the walls because I never went. If you stuck me in the halls of my middle school or high school and told me to point to the library, I couldn't do it. It was very isolating. I didn't even like to read in college. I barely read my textbooks. I knew where the library was because I went there to conduct research, but that was only because I absolutely had to. I knew there wasn't any books there for me. Growing up, my parents and grandparents would give me books. I would try to read them, but it was difficult for me. Sometimes the books were boring and it was hard for me to concentrate. Other times the words were just too difficult and I would just give up. Because reading was so difficult for me, I struggled throughout school. Every assignment was a struggle. Every test was a burden. I just wanted school to be over and done with so I could move on with my life, whatever that was going to be. School was so hard, I really didn't like being there. To me, school was something I had to get through, not something that would help me improve my life. Does anyone out there feel the same way? I bet so. You may think, what happened, Miss Christie? You tell us how good readers make good leaders. You help us find interesting books, and you tell us that we hug our books because we love our books. Do you still hate reading? Luckily, I had a friend named Lee Click. She would go to the bookstore and come home with stacks of books. Her bookshelves were filled edge to edge. Every shelf was so full that there were books stacked on top of books everywhere. After one trip to the bookstore, she was showing me her new books. At some point, I told her I didn't like to read. And the way she looked at me, you would think that I had sprouted wings and started to fly. She told me, well then, you're not reading the right books, and she sent me home with 5 to 6 of her favorites. I read every single one of those books and came back for more. She was right, and knowing now that there were books out there that I would be interested in opened up a whole new world. I began to going to the bookstores and coming home with my own stacks of books to fill my own shelves. At first, I read just about every book on Oprah's book club list, and those are the ones I loved first. When I grew tired of those, I branched out on my own. At first, I really didn't enjoy reading nonfiction. I had graduated from college, which was really hard, and reading nonfiction reminded me of how much I struggled. I didn't want to go back to school because I remembered how it made me feel. Maybe it was the ease in using apps like Feedly and Flipboard, but I started to read nonfiction, and I had learned about what interested me and how to find things that gave me more knowledge about my interests. It turned out to be not so difficult after all. Being such an avid reader helped make me a better reader, and I decided to go back to school at Grand Canyon University. And guess what my grades are now? School has become so much easier and has made me realize that being a better reader makes me a better student. Now I help kids who struggle like I did find books that they would love to read, and I'm good at it too. Students who go to college will earn more money, and students who enjoy school will get higher grades. Your librarian knows about books, and we are here to help every single student love reading. Don't fight your way through school like I did. Trust me, there's a better way. Change your life. Love to read.